The weather today in Florida kind of sucks. Yeah, it's wet and rainy, and I think it's supposed to be like this for like at least the next 4 days, or maybe the next 2 or 3 days. I can't remember exactly, but I don't know. Maybe for some, these are some of the reasons why you wouldn't want to move to Florida, or in fact, maybe why you would want to move and leave Florida. So Michelle's actually not here right now. She ran out to get something that she needed. She's doing some
squirrel trap.
I don't know why that just cut off. It just shows it cut off. We've had a lot of issues today so far. We had a power outage blip multiple times during the live stream.
This one here, I got you. There you go.
Why was it facing the other way?
I'm not quite sure.
But either way,
I literally just, I was about to say, because I just did these eggs. I would have been pissed if I had to throw these out.
Oh, boy. I guess it's a blackout. Maybe it's a brownout, one or the other. I guess maybe these are just parts of living, things you just have to get used to when living in Florida. But either way, she wanted to do a lot of cleaning yesterday, but I completely distracted her with so many other different things. That is pretty cool.
I like how they look the same. Thank
Right,
you.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, make sure I remember which one it was.
I was waiting on the other one.
Okay. Which one are you toasting?
Oh, wait. I guess I need to toast with this one.
That's what you're going with first? Oh, it smells good, but I'm also sniffing an orange.
That's a Willet also?
Yeah, they're the same one.
Okay, but this is pop.
Yeah, this one's the top.
Gotcha. And now she's going to do her cleaning today. But because of obviously how sick she has been and how sick I am now, and she wants to make sure that she completely, fully disinfects and cleans everything. So she's gone out to pick up something that she needed to make that happen. But I was actually thinking about what's going on. And here in Florida, now my buddy Chris just made a video. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. He goes into another deep dive on the Florida homeowners insurance situation, citizens insurance, insurer of last resort. So go check it out and see what he has to say about it. Really smart guy. He's a real estate agent, real estate professional, and a realtor. And also, what's happening with the commissions with the National Association of Realtors is going to be a game changer for 2024 moving forward. But we can cover more of that in a future video. But what I'm seeing now are headlines of folks who, one of them said, we don't have homeowners insurance, we have a homeowners insurance bill. And they saw like a 563% increase rate hike on their homeowners insurance like that. And I gotta think, with so much rain in the forecast predicted for the next few days, I would be seriously concerned about the rising water levels, not from the standpoint of Florida's going to be underwater as rising sea levels are causing Florida to, be underwater, but more so for areas that have poor drainage, poor storm water runoff, and are prone and likely to flooding, because this is going to be a serious situation for folks who have to bear that burden.
It is pouring. You guys can hear that, I'm sure. The lightning has been absolutely non-stop. Let's see if it's kind of hard to tell, but there is already a lot of water on the road. I actually went through a huge puddle a minute or two ago. Still a lot of people driving. Y'all can see how that water is. Look at those tires. I had to pull over because it was raining so hard I could not see in front of my face. Plus the lightning was absolutely ridiculous and slightly terrifying when it hits right in front of your vehicle. So we're not pulling out in front of anybody. We're waiting until it's clean slate to go. I always love when you cannot see the sky because it's all just a gray mush from all of the rain.
Now, granted, Citizens Insurance has nothing to do with flood insurance. That would be a completely separate coverage underwritten by another insurance provider. But seriously, something that, I wouldn't want to risk with what I see now with so much rain in the forecast and actually starting to come down. I mean, it's been raining all morning, and I don't think it's going to stop at all today. Now, at first, I really wanted to bring you guys some information about the mortgage interest rates and quite possibly the biggest deciding and or limiting factor that would be preventing folks from moving to Florida or maybe even potentially choosing not to live in Florida and to move and go somewhere else. Because if you have a super low interest rate, you're not going to want to give it up to go move somewhere else to get a super high interest rate, which I do believe that we're never going to see 15% mortgage interest rates like I had originally anticipated. And maybe 8 will be roughly the highest, with the likelihood of it coming down to 5.5 to 6. But I got to tell you guys right now, for me, the biggest determining factor that would prevent and ultimately force me out of the market and remove me from being even an interested buyer, lowering demand essentially, would be the insurance. The insurance. And here's why. So you see, with a mortgage, for instance, a 30-year fixed mortgage, I would essentially lock in what I'm going to pay over the life of this amortized schedule to make 360 payments theoretically to pay off my mortgage. And it is what it is. The only variable there that would change would be how much money I could make after closing. Therefore, do I earn more money or do I earn less money than when I closed? Is the money worth more or less than when I closed? Because really and truly, the beauty of it is paying off old debt with new money. So for instance, let's just say you buy a house, you spend $500,000 on a house, and you lock it in at, if we're lucky, 5% interest rate, and you make $200,000 a year, and you have a payment of whatever the payment's going to be. Maybe that payment's going to be around, let's just say $3,000. I'm making these numbers up. $3,000 a month. And at $200K a year, then you make, I don't know, this much money. And I'll do the math in post. So the difference would be that over the life of this loan, if inflation and the economy continues to drive the value of your money down, as it doesn't buy as much as it used to, it in theory should drive up how much you earn. So now all of a sudden you're 5 years into this 30-year mortgage and you make $300,000 because of inflation and a variety of other factors. Well, now your $3,000 monthly payment that you used to pay based on a $200,000 salary is much easier to make now that you have a $300,000 salary. You see what I'm saying? As long as all of your other expenses didn't equally and or equal to or greater than exceed how much more money you're making. You see what I'm saying? And that's going to be key, as theoretically it should be easier to make more money. You have to find ways to make it easier to spend less money, especially if you're paying on relatively decent interest rates on old debt. That's going to be the key. But the uncertainty with insurance is that I don't know what my total mortgage payment may be, especially if my insurance is lumped into escrow, because that can fluctuate every 12 months or however often my policy is renewed, which I'd be willing to bet would be reduced into shorter increments of time, shorter policy periods, so that it would introduce more often of an opportunity for the insurance companies to raise the policy premium. They don't want to wait 12 months to raise it if they can raise it in 6. They don't want to wait 6 months to raise it if they need to raise it in 3. You see what I'm saying? So with the insurance, that could mean that your $3,000 a month payment could all of a sudden be $4,000 a month payment or a $5,000 a month payment. And that's not cool. That's not cool with me. Whereas, inversely, on the flip side, if I choose to rent, I'm locked in for 12 months. I know that. Honestly, the worstest case scenario, I made all those words up. The worst case scenario would be that when it's time to renew the lease on the apartment, they say we want $4,000 a month. And I say no, and I have to move, okay? So then I could go somewhere, potentially find another apartment, assuming that the apartment was $3,000 a month, find another apartment that's $3,000 a month. I would incur costs to move, but odds are it wouldn't be $12,000, which would be the additional $1,000 every month over a 12-month period. But odds are, the way that the housing market is going and the increase of inventory, putting further pressure on rent prices, which rent prices historically, typically kept up with the rate of inflation, which was far below how much more home values increased over time. So theoretically, rent prices should stay the same, if not drop down lower. But I do not have any plans or really on moving anytime soon, at least not out of Florida. Now, granted, there are other parts of Florida that we could potentially consider. And one of them that actually came to mind was Sarasota. Now, I was actually supposed to make this video yesterday, but it didn't happen. So yesterday, Michelle reminded me that yesterday is the official first day of the last month of the year. And essentially what that means is that 2023 is almost over. And boy, am I not sure if I'm actually ready for the next one. But 2024 will be here before you know it. And we mustn't start off the new year with old news and last year's problems. So we're going to talk more about that a little bit later. But with Sarasota, I noticed that I was checking the news and a bombshell dropped where the Florida GOP chair, Republican Christian Ziegler, being currently under investigation by police for his possible involvement tied to sexual battery allegations. Some poor 19-year-old kid was punched in the face by a man armed with a gun, but thankfully the police have arrested 3 people in connection to the armed robbery. And so much for constitutional carry, because I tell you guys what, these criminals, if they keep it up, they're going to mess around and find out soon enough. But part of moving and potentially choosing where we're going to live, there always comes a question that Michelle asks, and she goes, well, Kevin, where will you draw? Or, Kevin, ask yourself, where will I draw my inspiration? And balance the costs and expenses for the highest quality of life with a looming market crash on the horizon and so much more in terms of financial uncertainty just literally days away. Now, we are on the brink of either possibly avoiding a hard landing or witnessing the Fed panic and pivot and throwing us right back to the wolves, which I hope that doesn't happen. Then it really would be feast or famine, and every man or woman for themselves. It's like that now, basically. Nowadays, we need to be abundantly clear and specific on how we address folks, no matter how God created them. Right? But I do have some good news, and that is on the real estate and housing market side of things, including the top residential real estate sales in Sarasota, Siesta Key, Palmer Ranch, Osprey, and Nakamis. I think it's Nakamis, which all featured a variety of high-value transactions last month. And the leading sale was a 2021 build, 3-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom condominium with 3,647 square feet of living area in Sarasota, which sold for $7.53 million. And other notable sales in Sarasota included properties at Aqua, Oyster Bay Estates, the Savoy on Palm, Sarasota Bay Club, Marina Tower, Bay Plaza, Sarasota Venice Co., Condominium on the Bay, The Landings, Florence Weber, Bay Haven, Village Green Club Estates, Huntington Point, Philippi Gardens, The Landing South, Shadow Lakes, Rustic Lodge, and DeSoto Terrace. All of these properties ranged in price from $500,000 to $5.45 million, with varying features such as pools, multiple bedrooms and baths, and substantial living areas. Now, Siesta Key's significant sales were in Sarah Sands Golf and Bay Club, Horizons West Golf and Bay Club, Bayside, Harbor Towers Yacht and Racket Club, Tortuga Beach, Crystal Sands, Siesta Harbor, and Sunset Royale, with these transactions ranging from $520,000 to $2.075 million, with offerings that included luxury amenities and resort-style features like pools, scenic views, and spacious interiors. And over in Palmer Ranch, noteworthy sales occurred in Beneva Oaks, Deer Creek, Turtle Rock, Mira-Lago at Palmer Ranch, Stony Brook at Palmer Ranch, Fairway Woods, and Wellington Chase. And prices are dipping down into the more affordable home price range from the $500,000 to $800,000 range, with homes featuring pools, multiple bedrooms and baths, and again, generous living spaces. The Osprey's notable sales were in Oaks 2, Park Trace Estates, and Sorrento Shores, ranging from $660,000 to $1.335 million, offering features like pools and spacious living areas. And lastly, in Nakamis or Nokomis, not sure which one, a significant sale occurred in the Sorrento East, where a property sold for just $685,000, featuring 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a pool, and 2,645 square feet of living area. So, not too bad, y'all. But I don't think that Sarasota is on the list for us. I think we're going to stay put where we are for the time being and actually probably start poking around and asking the front office what they expect to see the rates for renewal to look like in comparison to what we saw when we first signed and based on our first renewal. So we were actually coming up on our second renewal. And as long as everything's in order and everything's in line, we'll probably be staying put for now, because I don't want to unnecessarily put us in a position to be faced with some ridiculously large lump sum catastrophic added cost by way of homeowners insurance, especially with the rates as high as they are. I want to wait until we get probably down closer to 5.5%, and then reassess the situation at that point in time. Again, go check out Chris's video, because you're really going to want to know what's going on with the Florida Citizens Homeowners Insurance, Insurer of Last Resorts stipulations, and what's going on in Congress right now about that, and ultimately how everyone theoretically is going to have to foot the bill. Michelle and I, we talked about it too on a live stream. That video is now available for anyone who didn't catch the live stream, so check that out as well. But the reason why Sarasota even became a possibility was I began searching for Sarasota for a particular reason. And it's only because of some of the changes that I've seen here happening recently. And I had to really think to myself, I've seen this happen before. And actually, I've seen it happen before with another YouTuber. And it's interesting how these things kind of play out. But be that as it may, we are where we are, and we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep our head down. We're going to keep grinding, and we're going to keep pushing along. And hopefully you guys are along for the ride with us. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you check out the Patreon, link down in the description down below. And until next time, you guys take care, be safe. I'll see you real soon. Bye.